The most comprehensive technique for identifying use cases is the event decomposition technique. So event decomposition technique is a technique to identify use cases by determining the business events to which the system must respond. So meaning to say, it begins by identifying all the business events the information system responds to, with each event leading to a use case. So starting with business events helps the analyst define each use case at the appropriate level of detail. The appropriate level of detail for identifying use cases is one that focuses on elementary business processes, or EBP. So it is the most fundamental task in a business process which leaves the system and data in a quiescent state, usually performed by one person in response to a business event. For example, in this table, going back to our fictional company called RMO, on which it wants to create a new information system called the CSMS. So the RMO CSMS potential customer use cases are search for item, fill shopping cart, and view product rating and comments. So these are good examples of elementary business processes. So for example, fill shopping cart is a response to a business event that the customer wants to shop. So the event there is the customer wants to shop, and it leads to this use case, fill shopping cart. So you take note that each EBP occurs in response to a business event. Okay, so next. Anyway, what is an event? So an event is something that occurs at a specific time and place, can be described and should be remembered by the system. So events drive or trigger all processing that a system does. So listing events and analyzing them makes sense when you need to define system requirements by identifying use cases. The event decomposition technique focuses on identifying the events. So this technique focuses on identifying the events to which a system must respond. And then determining how a system must respond. So for example, the system's use cases. So when defining the requirements for a system, it is useful to begin by asking what business events occur that will require the system to respond. So by asking about the events that affect the system, you direct your attention to the external environment and looking at the system as a black box. So this means you don't see the underlying function, just the inputs and the results. You don't need to know what the underlying processes in between the inputs and the results. You just need to know what are these. So to give you an example, so some events that are important to a retail store's charge account. Let's say this is a retail store charge account. So the functional requirements are defined by use cases based on 6 events. So a customer triggers 3 events. So the first event is the customer pays bill. The second event is that the customer makes a charge, and then the customer changes address. Okay, so the system responds with 3 use cases. So record a payment for the cost. So when the customer pays a bill, the use case for that, the response for that in the system is to record a payment for this event. So the response of the system is to process a charge. And for this event, so when the customer changed the address, so the system responds by maintain customer data. So 3 other events are triggered inside the system by reaching a point in time. So for example, time to send late notices. So the use case, so for this event, the response in the system is to send late notices. And then another event is to time to produce end of week summary reports. So the use case for that is to produce summary reports. And for the event of time to send out monthly payments, so the use case is produce monthly statements. So remember, we're still using the verb noun form for creating our use case, for writing our use cases. So the result of this, the result is a list of use cases triggered by business events at the right level of analysis. So remember, the event first, the business event first, and then you can lead to a use case.